Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Eric Mulvihill, Clerk of the Legislature. We're going to get started. So I just want to let everybody know that's on the WebEx call who's here in chambers, and also that all of your mics are muted. Please remember to unmute your mic when we get to the Q&A portion of the meeting, and when your question is asked, to remute your mic after that. So joining me here in Legislative Chambers, we have Chairman Paul Hyder, County Public Health Director Kathy Fuhrher, Area Agency on Aging Executive Director Liz Haskin, Karen Spafford, Real Property Tax Services, John Banowitz, County Treasurer, Andrea Herzog, Director of Finance, Charlie Sudbrink, County Highway Superintendent, George Wagner, Legislator, Nat Barber, County Personnel Director, Ron Van Vee, Legislator, Kristen Monroe, Commissioner of Social Services, and County Administrator Rob Pecora. I will now turn the meeting over to Chairman Hyder.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Paul Hyder, Chair of the Legislature. Thank you all for joining us this morning, department heads and public municipal leaders and legislators. How it's going to work today is I'm going to give a brief update on 3 specific points. I'll then allow department heads to give updates and hopefully get questions from the audience. So I'll first start with the business plan that Cortland County has been working on with Onondaga County to restart central New York before other more devastated areas. I spoke with the Onondaga County executive this morning on that. The business plan has been submitted to the governor's office. At this point, there is no firm commitment by the state to accept it at this time. And we'll be waiting feedback from Ryan's office when we get any results, positive or negative. I had forwarded to municipal leaders and legislators the survey, the completed survey that Cornell Cooperative Extension has done for us, and I would like to thank them for their commitment. And if any municipal leaders or legislators want to comment on the survey results today, they're more than welcome, or they can submit email comments if they need to. One of the more exciting things I have to announce is since yesterday we've been working nonstop to put a plan in place to allow Cortland County car dealerships to open. After confirming with the governor's regional office yesterday, I am happy to announce we have a plan in place that were approved by Rob Pecora, Kathy Fuhrher, and myself. As of now, we are allowing dealerships to open after signing an agreement to abide by protocols that Cortland County has put together. I would like to publicly thank Scott Steve for his assistance in this matter. He has also volunteered to be part of a leadership team that will include the IDA, EDC, Chamber of Commerce, Visitor Bureau, business owners, and municipal leaders as we move forward in opening up business, hopefully in the not too distant future. We will be getting out this protocol agreement by way of public release as soon as our meeting is over. We will be reaching out by email and phone calls to car dealerships. Mr. Steve has volunteered to go around to all the dealerships that he knows of and make them aware of this protocol. I'll now be calling on department heads to give any updates they would like. Start with Kathy Fuhrher.
Good morning, everyone. Last evening we broke our 19-day streak and had a positive, someone test positive for COVID. It's been a really nice span of time with little activity to look at our data and to plan as we move forward here. We've actually had almost 1,200 people test negative for the virus, and now only 33 positives. We've monitored 150 people to date. That list is slowly dwindling down to now just a handful. As we kind of move to the next phase, definitely the hot spots from a statewide perspective are nursing homes and migrant farm workers. We have been in touch with our nursing homes, and the state is getting together a plan around testing in nursing homes for both staff and residents. Migrant farm workers, we do have some farms here in the county, and I had asked Courtney Metcalf to reach out to make sure that they had enough in supplies. I have been in touch with the migrant education program at SUNY Cortland. They're aware of the issue and are willing to assist wherever they can. The hot spots right now, or the hot topics, seem to be antibody testing and contact tracing. Contact tracing, while it seems to be a new concept in the governor's press conferences, it's something public health has always done. Granted, it may be on a larger scale should we see numbers increase, which is the prediction as we reopen. We are working with State Department of Health on their master plan, but certainly all of our nurses, sanitarians, and public health educators are prepared to step in and do the job. We've also had volunteers from outside.
Say like hi when you come, but
Yeah, that was. So
from
also been
from social.
I've also been in touch with SUNY Cortland, who's beginning their plans for the fall. A lot of contacts from outside agencies as to where things are at for reopening, just from a health department perspective. So the health department rundown is that we have master telehealth visits in EI and pre-K. We're doing evaluations now via telehealth, and families are happy with that. Jacobus never closed down. It's considered an essential service in the community. And we have seen a slight increase in STIs during this time. We're also conducting telehealth visits through there. We found a way to continue to dispense Narcan through video conferencing. And our big spot probably is environmental health, because campgrounds are anxious to open. Everyone wants a permit for septics and wells. We still don't have an answer from the governor's office on children's camps and whether or not they're going to operate this summer. Rabies the rabies program is starting to rev up here. We usually have our first rabies clinic in June, but we've gotten no direction from the state as to how that might look. There was a positive in the region, which makes people a little bit concerned, not in Cortland, but in the regional area. So we're looking at that. As we permit, we extended food permits for 3 months, and we'll continue to do that. But as we reissue permits for food establishments or campgrounds, we are putting compliance with the governor's orders around COVID-19 on the permit, which will give us a little bit of teeth should there be non-compliance, with obviously the ultimate, I don't want to say punishment, but non-compliance, we can pull the permit to operate based on that. That's it for me.
Thank you, Pat. Ms. Haskins, would you mind doing an update?
Hi, Liz Haskins with the Area Agency on Aging in New York Connect. I'll start with nutrition. We continue to deliver the meals twice a week. They are frozen. We continue with about 180 active. Possible return to normal delivery will be evaluated with the county administrator and legislative chair probably this week. The clients aren't fans of frozen meals, but due to exposure, it's what we need to do at this point in time. Volunteers were recruited to call all Cortland County Senior Center participants who provided phone numbers to us. That was about 1,200 clients. That is still in the works. We are not calling out-of-county people. There's about 140 out-of-county. We're just concentrating right now on Cortland. Food pantries. For us, we operate 3 Truxton, Cortland, and Willett, and they haven't been available to the public simply because due to our host sites and because of the not allowing people to come to the building as much as we did in the past. And that pantry was right in the building down by our dining room. So with Truxton, we continue to partner with the United Methodist Church, and we are going to be doing more advertising out there. That pantry is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. By appointment, folks just need to call the agency. The Willett Pantry, we've reached out to Sandy Doty, and we will be operating that pantry the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month, again by appointment, and advertising will begin this week in that area. And then in Cortland, we're looking at we're actually evaluating the feasibility of a drive-through pantry, but that's going to take another conversation with the county administrator and legislative chair, because that would be here on site. We reached out to our vendors. We do have a concern with the meat shortage. We have 3 vendors, and they all report current or anticipated issues in the upcoming week. At this point, our food stock is good, but we're keeping a very close eye on the situation, and we'll evaluate the need to do different things as it presents itself. Working with the state right now due to the farmers throughout the country who are experiencing excess stock with fresh fruits and veggies. The State Office for Aging is trying to work something out so we can get some of that into the Cortland County area, and more to come on that. And then I also want to share that a task force has been created at the state level to discuss how, if, and when centers open. Some of the things that they're talking about for sure are taking temperatures every morning. They're talking about staggered meal times. Social distancing would be required, so a lot of discussion has to go. And I will tell you that some folks are really struggling what to do throughout the rest of the year simply because of the risk to the population we serve. On the aging services side of things, wellness checks continue to be conducted by our aging services specialists. So all home-delivered meals clients, if they're not receiving a meal, have that wellness check, and it's greatly appreciated. Social media continues to be heavily utilized to disseminate information. We're looking right now, how do we keep people exercising, eating well, virtual sightseeing, support groups, and much more. It's the only avenue we've got to reach people at this point. Mass distribution continues. All home delivered meal clients receive care packages with toilet paper, hand sanitizer, masks, and agency information. We have received donations. We received a United Way grant, and we purchased masks through them. We've received masks through the EOC, and at this week, the State Office for Aging also sent us some masks. So that is in the works. This week, senior housing is our focus. So by the end of this week, all senior housing units should receive packages. Reaching out to the supervisors next week, the local supervisors and mayors, to discuss the best methods for us to get masks out to each of your constituents. Right now, our focus really is combating our isolation. With seniors, isolation can lead to a decline in overall status, and it's a big concern for us. So we are looking at how can we reach these folks through phone calls. We're looking at YouTube, we're looking at podcasts, but that is a concern. If you were here today, you would see that we received, I brought up a pet. We have 14 animatronic pets that about $100 a piece that we did not have to pay for. They're evidence-based interventions for people with all stages of dementia, and they have shown to be a great tool for people to help combat isolation and to just with their overall well-being. And then lastly, our specialists and case managers continue to work remotely. We have one person on site doing all the running, copying paperwork, and all that type of information. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Hassel. Ms. Spafford, real property?
Good morning. This is not COVID related, but I wanted to make you aware of an issue with the passing of the state budget that relates to basic STAR exemption. Anyone who has a tax delinquency of any kind from 2018 is going to receive a letter from the state stating they need to pay that delinquency or they are going to lose their basic STAR exemption. Those letters are going to be coming out from the state probably sometime within the next 3 weeks, and you may get phone calls from constituents. Those letters are going to direct them to either the city finance office or the county treasurer's office to take care of those delinquencies. If they pay the delinquency, they will not lose that. They have a time frame to pay it. If they pay it after that time frame for when school bills go out, they will get reimbursed from the state once they have proven they paid that tax, and they will lose the exemption, but they will go on the STAR credit program, so they would receive a check from the state instead of the exemption off their tax bill. If any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call.
Thank you, Ms. Spafford. Ms. Herzog, Director of Finance.
Good morning. I just have a couple of updates. First is, I believe you all know, our 2019 annual update document has been filed with the state on time. It was sent the afternoon of April 30th, the due date. Now, just wait to hear from the state on if there's any changes, and once it's approved, it will be posted on our website. First quarter sales tax numbers are in, and they were up over the 2019 first quarter by around 8.5%, probably mostly because of internet sales tax and things that happened in December. Our bond refunding is in process. The first series was refunded on April 30th, and the second series is anticipated to be refunded on May 15th, and then that will be completed. Over the life of the bonds, it will save around $285,000. And we're working on the audit with the auditors. It's in process, and I'm working on the financial statements for them. So when that's done, that'll be also filed on time with the federal government and the state. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrea. Mr. Banowitz, our treasurer, would like to do a slide update.
Good morning, everyone. I just got elected, started the office in January, and I just give you a rundown of what I've done since then. We had about 44 open estates when I started, down to about 4 or 5. 3 of them have been, 3 new ones have been postponed with the surrogate court. With the trusts, we had 19 trusts. We were able to close one that was supposed to be closed in 2010. 3 of them, I talked to the city clerk, we're getting 3 of them closed very shortly. And the Supreme Court is reviewing 13 others that we have open. With abandoned property, which is property over 3 years, hasn't been claimed. It's basically uncashed checks and unclaimed bail that's been released. Of the 16 over $50 claims, only 6 of them were in Cortland County. So I got a waiver from the state to publish the names and amounts in the local newspapers, which saved us some money. And also, I posted on the county website the names of the people. We got a lot of people came in to claim their funds. Another issue is the foreclosure auction. Normally it's held in May. We're going to try to do it the 25th of June. We're coordinating right now with Manasseh to do that. Something that helped with this COVID issue was it's slowed things down in our office, so I was able to develop policies and procedures for our office, and for whoever takes my place, they can just go to the book, open the states, and look up how it's done and what's required. So in the future, things should be running pretty smoothly in our office.
Thank you, John. Mr. Sutbrick, would you please do an update?
Yes, all the highway employees were called back on the 4th. We started our major projects on the 28th of April, Fiscal Valley Road. We rehabbed the shoulders, and we actually started hot paving that today. Marathon McGraw Road, we started on the 4th. We're milling and filling the shoulders of that, and we should full mix pave that on the 13th. The projects we have scheduled for the summer, we have North Tower Road. We have stonework and a box culvert there we plan on doing in June. Lower Cincy Road Bridge, parapet walls in June. Taylor Valley Road, we have a box culvert that's FEMA funded. We'll do that in July. Daisy Hollow Road, the fault zone, will be July and August. We're also going to stone and oil approximately 40 miles of road this year. As long as we don't have any outbreaks, we got a very busy season ahead of us. Everything seems to be going well. Our asphalt vendor opened up early last week. So, knock on wood, business as usual.
Great, thank you, Charlie. Director of Personnel, Barber.
Okay. Good morning. Just a quick update. County administration and our largest CSEA unit met via conference bridge last week to negotiate a furlough agreement, which became effective on 5/4. We furloughed 57 employees, and I'm sure Rob's going to talk more about the details of that. Or not. Okay. And anyway, it was important to the county that our employees all had the information prior to them being able to sign up on Monday the 4th for unemployment and the federal stimulus. So they have all gotten the information, and they know how to pay directly their health insurance stuff. So that should be working out okay. If there's any problems, they've been directed to call us and chat about any issues that they have. We have not given an exam since mid-March due to the restrictions. We are not sure whether we can continue to give the exams in June or not yet. We reached out to the state, and we're having some conversation with them. So what we're doing is still announcing exams, sending admission letters with a notation that that exam will be scheduled sometime in the near future. All of my staff continues to work full-time. We're rotating in the office with Lori and I, who are there full-time. And that's it.
Thank you, Annette. Commissioner of Social Services. Monroe.
Good morning, everyone. I will start with our income maintenance program updates. So this includes our cash assistance, SNAP, Medicaid, and HEAP. We just last week implemented a new mobile application that will let applicants submit documentation we need remotely from their phone. They can download an app. The information is on our county website. This eliminates the need for them to mail in various documentation. All the documents that are submitted go to a state repository, and then our staff retrieve those and electronically image them. So we're hoping that will catch on, and the public, various agencies can do this for folks as well, so it's not necessarily user-specific. The state, as I spoke about last month, had waived our face-to-face interviews in all program areas, and that waiver actually runs out this weekend on the 9th, and they have not yet decided if we're going to have to start seeing people face-to-face again or not. Our caseload trends are fairly unremarkable at this time. Last month, we had seen a huge increase in the SNAP applications. That has since settled down. We suspect it's due to the COVID stimulus checks and the unemployment increase. Cash assistance and Medicaid applications are fairly typical. We are not yet seeing emergency applications. We expect to see a large surge in these when the moratorium on evictions and utility shut-offs is over. And again, no date yet for those things. The Home Energy Assistance Program has been extended through June 30th, with a third emergency benefit being offered to folks. And the last update in this area is the fact that our warming centers have closed as of last Thursday, April 30th. In regard to family and children's services, our child protective intake is low overall, but definitely fluctuates week by week. We've seen an increase in severe cases requiring us to take custody of children. Most of these cases, unfortunately, have involved severe substance abuse. And along with that, we're having challenges working with the parents because a lot of them are unable to successfully engage in the telemed delivery. So that's just a new COVID challenge that we're all wrestling with. We have great providers who want to engage, but sometimes it's hard for the folks we work with to engage with people they don't know. We are continuing to go with homes when we have to for child protective, and at this time we still have a state waiver to do virtual visits with foster children, foster parents, and bio parents. Almost all of the foster care visitation right now is being done by video conference, and for each case we had to seek the court's permission to do that. Last comment is that we've seen an increase in calls from schools regarding parents and students being non-responsive with distance learning. We're trying to help and support where we can. However, we're somewhat limited, and we have to work with the schools to see if there are other child welfare concerns so that we can involve and try to encourage participation. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. County Administrator, Rob Flora.
Good morning. Not a lot to report. Basically, as far as our finances are concerned, the original estimates that we have for loss of sales tax from NISAC has increased. They had a moderate and extreme level. They say both of them are pretty much doubled what they were before, which would cost the county anywhere from now $1.2 million to over $6 million for this year. They're still keeping an eye on that. It's too early right now to say exactly where it's going to end up, but we're monitoring it closely. As far as the furloughs, yes, we did temporarily furlough 57 employees through the end of July. It is no loss. The employees are not losing any financial money or anything else. With the $600 stimulus per week that they get from the federal government, a lot of them are making out better than they would if they were actually working. So I'm hoping they all come back when they're called back. They're not losing health insurance or any accruals. So other than having to file for unemployment, which can be a pain, they're not losing anything. The other thing that's being worked on right now is our reopening plans. We're working on that department by department and as a county. We don't anticipate having the county buildings open to the public, probably for at least the rest of this month. Hopefully June 1st, we may be able to see some, but even that's up in the air. But each department is submitting reopening plans, and we're starting to go over those this afternoon. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Rob.
At this time, we'd like to call on our Workforce Development Director, Amy Bugg, to offer some insight from employment training. Amy?
Good morning. Am I unmuted?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to let everybody know that the Office of Workforce Development for Q and Cortland counties has been working very diligently at trying to keep people informed about their unemployment insurance benefits, as well as businesses informed as far as what their responsibilities are in keeping people social distance and closing and essential workers and keeping masks available and working with the EOC and distribution of those masks. The other thing that should be really important right now is we have a goal with Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance for our summer youth program, which we typically run from July to 1st of September. That program is going to run. Those applications are available for 14 to 21-year-olds on our county website. If you know of a child who would like to work this summer, we don't know what that work experience is going to look like, but we will do something. We are taking applications, and they are available on the county's website. We are unsure of when the reopening of the Career Center will take place, but working with the county and the state, we will come up with a plan and move forward on that and let everybody know when that will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. At this time, we'd like to call on our Director of Community Services, Karen McDougall, for an update.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thanks again. I'm jumping in here in the last month. As far as an update from mental health, what we're finding is an increase in mental health, substance use, developmental disability needs throughout our county. We're expecting this to only worsen as we come out of this. Obviously, if you isolate a whole bunch of people who are already struggling, coming out of this is going to have quite a bit of mental health, substance use, developmental disabilities, as well as DP needs. So we're trying to plan for that, and we're already seeing an increase, both at our services here, but also with our contract agencies. So again, our department oversees a lot of providers in the community, including Catholic Charities, Family Counseling Center, etc., under the mental health law, substance use, and developmental disabilities. Luckily, we're happy to report that state aid quarter 2 funding came early, which we were able to get out to those providers, which was a really nice support to have from the Office of Mental Health and OASIS at the state level. That really helped those contract agencies to jump in. Almost all of the service providers, including us, have quickly switched over to telehealth services, mostly by phone, but some of us are able to do it as well by telehealth video. The providers jumped into that really quickly, as did our services here at Mental Health. We were able to not lose many sessions. We actually saw a huge increase in sessions provided because very few clients were now canceling because they didn't have the transportation issues they had previous to this. But we've seen crisis needs increase, of course, given what's been going on. The only face-to-face services that are happening at our department, as well as family counseling and others, are really related to like injectable, antipsychotic injectable medications that obviously have to be given in person. We really appreciated a huge amount of collaboration between the community, especially with our police. Both the sheriff and the city police, Cortland City Police, have been fantastic in coordinating with us and other agencies to try to help mitigate the crisis going on, and especially the emotional response and substance use stuff that we've been seeing. So huge appreciation to that. We find ourselves, as do all of our contract providers, are heavily dependent on our technology and our electronic health records. Here we also use Meta, just like the health department. I don't think we've ever been so heavily dependent on those things like we have right now. With most of our workforce working from home, I've got about 60 to 70% of the staff working from home. The dependent on technology and that electronic health record has been a little intimidating and scary for us. Huge thanks to ITS, who's been amazing to help our staff really learn overnight technology skills that we didn't think we would have to have. So big thanks to them. They were also a big help in getting a almost $30,000 grant to help with telehealth services for our clinic. So that's been amazing. Just, and sadly, I'm going to end with sort of the bad news that we know is coming. Just like the county is facing state cuts, state aid money that comes down through our department and the county from the Office of Mental Health, Office of Alcohol Substances, and WDD for disability. We are expecting huge state aid cuts to all three of those, which is going to heavily affect our providers in the community. We don't know anything about how big those cuts are or where those cuts are, but we're trying to work with those three agencies and our field offices to try to plan for that. We're waiting to hear more, and we're trying to work on some local solutions. And I'll update that as things happen. And the last sad part of this is some of you are aware of the 730 restorations that have to occur when someone is at the jail. That money is now going to be doubled only at the county expense. So anyone who has to be restricted to the state psych center, moving forward, that's only going to be at the county cost of probably around $2,000 a day. And that's going to be a huge expense to us. So we're trying to work on some solutions with that, and huge thanks to the sheriff who's helping support them. That's all I have unless anyone has questions.
Thank you, Sharon.
Next up is Cortland County Department of Emergency Response and Communication, Scott Roman.
Good morning. Probably on most people's minds, initially is what we're talking about is the PPE. We've gotten several shipments from the state of New York. Most of it has gone to the hospitals. We have an ample supply of cloth masks, and we have some other cloth masks coming in. Most have been distributed. If one of your agencies is looking for cloth masks, let us know. We also have plenty of hand sanitizer. It's in gallon jugs. It's not in individual or personal use containers, but we have plenty of hand sanitizer from the state. If you need any, just let one of my staff know. The big question about N95 masks, we haven't seen any arrive from the state of New York. We also have seen very, very little isolation gowns. So any of those items that have come in, we're sending off to the hospital immediately because their need is greater than anybody else's. We also have had some shipments in for nursing homes, but we just got a shipment in for nursing homes, I want to say this week, and it's the first shipment we've gotten from the state since this whole episode has started. So we continue to get materials, and the problem with material distribution for PPE is it comes on a formula that the state has developed and that they are not sharing with us. So we get calls that X amount of supplies are arriving and we're not sure when they're arriving or how they came up with those numbers. So even though we still put requests in for individual agencies, we have not seen responses yet. The state is running on their priority list. 911 is still split. Call volume is down. They're split between the primary center and the backup center, so the staff are isolated. Again, call volume is down. It seems to be uneventfully quiet. I would assume once things start opening back up, things will pick back up. Your fire departments are still running on modified responses. They are not running most residential EMS calls until I'm not sure when, until the fire chiefs decide they want to do something different. The state of New York did step in and extend all EMT recertifications for a period of a year. So anybody that was a member of one of your fire departments that was an EMT and their card was expiring, the state automatically renewed it for a year to assist so that people don't actually have to go take a class in person. And the only other thing we have is we have significantly scaled back our fire training through the summer that the county typically offers. Classes like vehicle extrication and firefighter training have all been scaled back because of social distancing guidelines put out by the state and also by our recommendations keeping the classes small if in person at all. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Scott.
At this time, we'll open the lineup to Cortland County District Attorney Patrick Refunding. Go ahead, Mr. Perfetti, you're open.
Okay, thank you. Since the beginning of the year with the changes in the bail statute, drug treatment court, new participants has basically fallen off. And this was predicted by the District Attorneys Association due to the inability to exercise pretrial incarceration for offenses such as drug sales and drug possession. People were not being detained in the jail, and thus motivations to seek treatment fell off. So that was, as we said, predictable. But then when the COVID-19 pause orders from the governor went into effect, essentially what has happened now to compound things for drug treatment court is that the whole idea behind treatment court is monitoring, and the monitoring has not been going on in person as it traditionally did. It's all been telemonitoring. Indications are that we've had many relapses, which I'm not a mental health professional, but given the stresses of the uncertainty that this pandemic brings along with isolation, and the fact that most of our drug treatment court participants also usually have some type of mental health component that is either primary or an exacerbating effect to their drug addiction. The idea that we have increased relapses is not to be a surprise. How we're going to deal with that is uncertain. Things have really, like I said, kind of been on a pause, although the drug treatment court coordinator is checking on people. We're anticipating, best information is that the courts may open in June. Many of my fellow department heads are dealing with executive orders that are promulgated by the governor's office. Certainly that affects me, but then I also have the Office of Court Administration, which is a co-equal and independent branch of government. They operate under their own administrative orders, which on a good day do not conflict with the governor's executive orders, but we have that dual master to deal with in terms of when we anticipate will open. It looks as though it may be June. And even once we open, it won't be certain until we see some actual orders in writing as to whether the county courthouse right now is acting as the central hub for all court activity, to include the town and village courts. They're all being run out of the courthouse. Even that, they're not actually being run out of the courthouse, they're being run virtually out of the courthouse. So the courthouse is open, but nobody's getting in or out. Those of you who follow the local media realize that there are certain individuals who are taking advantage of both the change to the bail law and as well the pandemic restrictions on people's movements. We've had a spree of burglaries, and largely they've been burglary second degree, which, although a violent felony, is one of the violent felonies accepted from the bail statute. The state legislature put burglary in the second degree back into the bail statute for consideration for monetary bail, but it doesn't take effect until July 3rd. So come July 3rd, I may be making applications to have certain people who are presently at liberty brought before the court for bail consideration. The grand jury delinquencies went from February at 23 up to 31. This as well was in part anticipated. I had indicated a certain need for additional personnel during last year's budget process because of the demands that the discovery statute, the changes to the discovery statute, placed on my staff. We are taking advantage of the court hiatus here, try to clear that backlog. And there have been some changes to the discovery statute, which are changes that will help my office in terms of tactically preparing for trial, but none of the changes are changes that will essentially decrease workload. So those increased personnel needs only continue, but we will get the grand jury delinquencies down to what I find to be a more acceptable number, which is usually below 25. When I came into office, we were near 90. So we're still, the numbers isn't where I want to be, but it's still manageable. The change in the discovery statute, which I've already mentioned, took effect on May 3rd. So we're dealing with those new requirements. But like I said, it won't mean any workload reduction. The governor, in signing that bill, also indicated that there'd be about $40 million available to help with the implementation of the discovery reforms, and I guess the reform to the reform. No indication as to whether Cortland will get much of that money, and now with the pandemic, no indication whether those monies will still be available. So in the hiatus, my staff has been, we've been reduced by about a third of my staff being available on a daily basis. Otherwise, they've been pushing discovery from home, although the court has over the last week, starting last week, the previous week, started to increase their number of pretrial conferences. So I've had to increase my staff presence in the building to about half. It is still very manageable in terms of social distancing requirements, largely because we're split up in the courthouse between the east wing and the west wing. So we were naturally socially distanced before that phrase got into the current lexicon, and we're able to maintain that with half the staff present in the work site. Outside of discovery, my attorneys are required to do 12 credits of continuing legal education biennially, which is a requirement to maintain their licensure, good standing, and the New York State Prosecutors Institute has made free continuing legal education available. So when not processing discovery, we've taken advantage of maintaining our continuing legal education requirements, again, at no cost to the county because it's being provided by the Prosecutors Training Institute. That's my report, unless anybody's got questions.
Great, thank you very much, DA. I appreciate it.
I'll open. I didn't get a chance to speak with her, but Cortland County Clerk Elizabeth Larkin, Betsy, your mic is open. Did you have anything to offer?
Oh, yeah. So at the county clerk's office, buildings and grounds installed plexiglass at our counter, our front counter, and they're putting another one at the pistol permit desk. So we'll be ready when we open there. We were able to process pistol permit amendments through the mail, and that's working out very well. They've been pouring in. We've been having a lot of Skype meetings with the Office of Court Administration. The order previously was for essential matters only in civil. They've now opened that up to filing in all pending cases. No commencement in new cases, but we can, they have a new digital reception for both civil and criminal, and they will be reaching out to the District Attorneys Association, Public Defenders Association, and Probation Director on how to file those with us. Currently, we have a system set up where they send them to our email, but it's to a specific Cortland County Clerk email, but that's not the best. So this will work out better. We still receive at the front door in a drop box there and by mail. So the revenue that I projected for the county clerk's office is much higher than I had projected. It was unknown at the time how much we were going to be able to do. Obviously, no money from the court, but a lot of attorneys e-recording. So I'm so happy that we had set that up in 2013 and 14 and were able to do that. A lot of counties weren't set up yet, and of course there was no ability to establish that. So at the DMV, as you all know, the drive-through was way too successful. We drew people from everywhere. We eventually had to shut it down, and I was strongly recommended from higher powers that I do that. So I hated to lose the revenue, but it was uncontrollable, and people were driving 4 hours to get here. It was crazy. Waiting in line at midnight, one guy, they'd fall asleep in their cars. It was bizarre. But anyway, we still offer the same service at the front lobby. You can bring your stuff in, drop it off. We hold it for 2 days, hopefully the virus dies, and process and mail it back. My mailing cost is going to go up because all the license plates that I thought I was going to pass out through the drive-thru, we had to send out. So we sent out over 100 plates. But we did make some revenue, even though I had to pay extra postage. So let's see. So when we open up the DMV, what I'm talking to my director about is appointments only. We did start that before we closed down. Not only can I maintain social distancing that way, but I can regulate the type of transaction and the type and how long that will take. So hopefully it diminishes wait times as well, because as you know, I haven't been able to do any driver's license renewals since March 1st. So that is, we're going to get hit with those. I may even regulate it today, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do driver's licenses, and Tuesday, Thursday, all other transactions, but we haven't decided on that yet. I did want to give a shout out also to IT because they were phenomenal. Even when I was working from home, I was able to get in. It was just like being at my desk, except I kept forgetting stuff and had to come to the courthouse at night to pick up one more thing. But I do have one deputy e-filing and e-recording from home, and she lives in the boondocks, and she can still do it. So it's been great. And also, as we've been doing these WebExes, you know, I hear from all over the state, and downstate, it's just unbelievable. And we are so fortunate in Cortland County to be in the position we are in. So I want to commend everybody. I don't know, I saw Walmart and Lowe's packed every night when I came to the courthouse. But still, they must have kept their distance because COVID didn't spread. So that's it.
Thank you, Betsy. I'm sure I know the answer to this question, but I'll open the line to County Coroner Whitney Meeker. Anything to offer, Whitney?
We are currently at 40 investigations with 20 autopsies. This time last year we were at 19. The only thing I can think of for the increase in cases is undetected COVID cases that possibly happened January, February, and March. We have had 2 or 3 people that have died but were tested prior to their deaths, and they turned out to be negative. And I did one field testing a week ago, and he likewise turned out to be negative. So far we have had no COVID-related deaths. And I'm running out of money.
Thank you very much, Whitney. At this time, if there are any other department heads on the line that would like to weigh in, offer any insight or update, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead. Seeing none, at this time we would like to open it up to any questions from any of our guests that are on the line this morning.
Joe Ossoff, I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Ossoff.
This is for Kathy Fearheim. She talked about the antibody testing, but she didn't say if we were actually doing it or where we were doing it. I had a lot of people question that. Where can I direct them?
Joe, right now, the only place they can really go to is their own provider. Some providers in town are ordering the testing, and I'm seeing some test results coming through. The state has not done anybody testing in Cortland County.
Okay, so they're medical doctors then, basically.
Right.
Okay.
Anybody else at this time?
Yeah, I have two questions. This is Tom McCabe. The first is part of the requirement for us opening is that we need to test 1,300 people a month here in Cortland, and haven't hit 1,300 yet in the pandemic. So are we ready to test that many? That's one part. Two, I know we have to hire about 14 contact tracers. Do we have a plan for that? And then finally, do we have a list of the businesses that are going to be looking for the phase 1 and phase 2 reopenings, and how are those decisions being made and by who?
Again, just for everybody, that was Homer Mayor Hal McCabe.
Now, how, at the county level, we have gotten no official word from the state on testing. What we've heard is on television previews, so we're waiting for official direction from the governor's office for both of your questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hal.
Any additional questions, comments, concerns?
Eric, this is Bill McGovern.
Morning, Mayor McGovern.
Hey, thank you. I was just testing to see if you were hearing me. I do have a question for Catherine regarding the children's camp comment she made early on, that they're waiting to hear from the governor whether or not they will operate. We run a summer program, which is not an overnight camp, but it's done in the village. Would that fall into the scope of what you had commented about, what you're referring to as a children's camp?
No, what I'm referring to is camps that we permit under public health law. So they're organized day camps like Awada, Lime Hollow, camps like that.
Okay, very good. I was thinking of that, but thank you. And just two comments real quick. I won't hold everybody. This session here, the second one we've done, is very helpful. I appreciate all the information that's being provided to us all. Thank you. And also thank you for the daily emails and the data that's been submitted. I'm from Savannah. I'm from Courtney, from everybody. Paul, you can see that on Facebook, keeping us informed as to what the level of illness is and the trends and all that. Very good that we have nobody ill right now. We have had no fatalities, no deaths. It's good news for Cortland County, and I appreciate the information flow. Thank you.
Comments or questions?
I have one. Can you hear me?
Sorry, go ahead.
This is Pat Clune, Deputy Mayor for Homer. I heard that the county was doing some coordination with Onondaga, but according to the governor, it's going to be a regional opening. So are we doing any other cross-coordination with the other counties in our region?
We're doing coordination with Ryan McMahon and his team. That includes Central New York, Oswego, Herkimer, and Madison County, and 3 or 4 other counties. So basically, Ryan McMahon is having and for approval or denial from them.
Thank you.
Something else to add?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to give it a little plug for the drop boxes that are around town because they are really being utilized. I'm picking them up several times a week now. There's one at the courthouse, one at the Homer Town Hall, one in Cortlandville, thank you, Tom, one in Marathon, and thank you, Mayor McGovern. So if you could just remind residents, they don't even need to go to the DMV, they can just put it in that drop box, we'll process it and send it back. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments or concerns? One thing, I guess this would be for legislators, but certainly for the benefit of everybody on the line this morning, in working with the county administrator's office, there was a question, I think last week, and maybe from Mr. Harbin in terms of concerns about our furloughed employees losing credit toward their retirement. We have put a resolution together in connection with some of our sister counties, urging the state legislature to pass legislation that will allow for that credit to continue or to be counted for those employees that are on furlough. If anybody would like more information on that, certainly they can reach out directly to my office, but that will be in front of our Budget and Finance Committee on the 12th and before the full legislature at special session on the 14th.
Any other questions? Just one more point on my end. We are actively seeking test kits in Cortland County, and today it was confirmed by one of our brothers/sister counties that they're going to be giving us 500 test kits, and we're very thankful for that. And thank you all for joining, department head, municipal leaders, and legislators, and any public at large. Appreciate it.
All right. With that, we will conclude this update. Stay tuned for scheduling of future update meetings. And again, as always, if there's any follow-up questions or comments that you think of after we get off the line, feel free to send those directly to my office. Thank you very much.